I'll make this topic very easy. Click the subscribe button below and watch this lecture until the end. Suspension, solution, colloid. What is suspension? What is solution? What is colloid? Now let us start with suspension. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. Now look this one. The large solid particles temporarily suspended throughout the liquid, but with a time, these particles settle down at the bottom of the beaker, and the particle of suspension don't dissolve in a liquid. Again, there are no intermolecular force between the particle of suspension and liquid. Only these particles are spread out through the liquid. The particles of suspension are large and visible with our naked eye. Different examples are here. Mud water, sand in water, flour in water, paint, and so on are examples of suspension. Now, let us start with solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. Now look this one. When a solute dissolves in a solvent, it forms solution. Solution particles are evenly distributed, and the solid particles dissolve in a solvent. It's not suspended, it's dissolved in a solvent. There are intermolecular force between solid particles and solvent particles. That means the solid particles hydrated by solvent particles. The particle of a solution are atoms, molecules, or ions, and this particle cannot be seen with our naked eye as well as with cell microscope. They are very tiny, and the particle of solution don't settle down. Different example: salt dissolve in water, sugar dissolve in water, brass, pure air, and so on are example of solution. Now the third one, colloid. A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. Now look at this one. Colloid falls between suspension and solution. Parts of a colloid. A colloid has two main parts or phases. One, the dispersed phase acts as a solute, and the dispersion medium acts as a solvent. Let us take fog. Fog is a colloid, and it has two parts or two phases. One phase is water droplets, and the second part is air. This water droplet is the dispersed phase. It dispersed throughout air. Therefore, air is the dispersion medium. Now, when water droplet dispersed throughout the air, it forms fog, and fog is example of colloid. The second example, smoke. Smoke is colloid. Again, it has two phases. The one is the dispersed phase, and the other is the air. The dispersed phase here is dust, ash, carbon. It is our dispersed substance, and air is the dispersion medium, which acts as a solvent, but the dispersed substance acts as a solute. So smoke is an example of colloid. Now, characteristics of suspension, solution, and colloid. The first property, particles. When we look at the particle of suspension, colloid, and solution, the particle of suspension is greater than 1000 nanometer. and they are large and can be seen with our naked eye. But when it comes to colloid, they are found in between suspension and solution, and its size is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. They are intermediate size between solution and suspension. The particle of solution is less than 1 nanometer, and these are atoms, ions, and molecules, and we cannot see with our naked eye as well as with cell microscope. They are very small. The second property, stability, suspension. They are settle upon standing as we look below, but colloid they are very stable. Solution they are very stable. Now filtration. The part is large enough to stick to the filter paper, so we can separate suspension by filtration, but we cannot separate colloid by filtration since the part passes through this filter paper and just like solution. Now, tenoidal effect. When we come to the tenoidal effect, solution don't show tenoidal effects, means that it don't reflect light that passes through,